Welcome to our second session in today's Diversity and Inclusion in the Workplace Forum. My name is Jessica George, and I'm the Director of Student Services here at the Louisiana Tech College of Business. Today's forum marks our third year to host this event to provide an opportunity for our students to have important conversations surrounding diversity and inclusion in the context of business. In the College of Business, we strive to create a learning environment that considers and appreciates many different perspectives. We consider this mindset critical in today's global and inclusive workplace. Now, I'm pleased to introduce to you Kaye Cullum, who is Global Group Lead for Diversity and Inclusion at Thermo Fisher Scientific. Kaye has prior experience in talent acquisition at Fortune 500 companies like Murphy USA and Walmart. Today, she will teach embedding diversity, equity, and inclusion in the culture. Kaye?
Hey there. Yeah, so we have contact, Jessica?
We do. You are welcome to go ahead and begin your presentation.
Perfect. So first of all, thank you for inviting me to speak today. This is a critical topic to me. And here's what I want to do. I want to first talk about Thermo Fisher Scientific. I think you guys will have some interest in that. And then we'll talk about some of the things that we're doing in diversity and equity and inclusion and how we're embedding that into the culture. But I also want to talk about, what does it mean to you? Why is this important to you as a college student? I'll talk about what it means to our business, and then I'll talk to you what it means as a college student. So I'll pull up my slides here. And by the way, I am speaking to you guys from Connecticut. And if you've not heard of Thermo Fisher, that I'm not surprised. We are quite a big deal, though, and I'll tell you why in just a bit. I'll tell you about the company first. We have about 70,000 employees across the globe. And the bulk of our employees are scientists, and I'm talking deep PhD scientists. And I'll tell you why about that in a bit as well. We, in the last year, have spent over $1 billion on research and quality and trying to make sure that we have the equipment and the drugs that you need. And we have about $24 billion in revenue. But the interesting thing about Thermo Fisher is, and here's a picture of how we're made up, is we have 5 groups in Thermo Fisher, and all of them make a medical device or equipment for hospitals, healthcare, except for my group, which is made up of the Pharma Services Group. And what we do is we make drugs for customers. We make them for large clients, say Merck, Pfizer, those type of companies. And the interesting thing is, and I'll break this down for you, this is the group that I support. We do the clinical trials. We do sterile, I won't go in, we do API, active pharma ingredient. Essentially what we do is we make the drugs that make the drugs. And so we do this across over 50 sites, 50 facilities across the globe. That includes North America, Europe, and Asia. So the interesting thing about this, though, and I love to tell this story, in March, when we were first hearing about COVID, we had maybe 4 or 5 projects that was supporting the vaccine. Today, we have over 150 projects that's supporting making the vaccine. So we're quite critical to the globe of making sure that everybody is healthy. The other thing that I think is interesting about this is that in our one site in Greenville, we have over 27 life-saving drugs. These are drugs that fight cancer, that fight MS. I mean, these are critical drugs. And it's the first time, and I've worked for some really good companies. I loved working at Walmart, where our focus was truly saving money. I loved working at Murphy, where truly I got to build one of the best talent acquisition teams I've ever had. in El Dorado, Arkansas, which is what made me fall in love with Louisiana Tech. But at Thermo Fisher, we're saving lives. And I used to tell my team, it's not like we're curing cancer here, but for the first time, we truly are curing cancer. So just a little bit about pharma services. And then I want to talk to you, and this is what we're here for today, is about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and why is it even important? And I love to show this slide. Let me get that out of the way so you guys can see it. I think you can. So this is what I call the new diversity. Is diversity comes in so many different versions. As this, our day job may be strategy lead or head of operations or regulatory lead, but our nighttime jobs and our side hustles could be playwright, could be playing poker, could be lacrosse. So this is just the new diversity that I like to talk about. But let's talk about why this is so important. And I think you'll really begin to understand the value of diversity. So one of our biggest clients, and this was for the Pharma Services Group, which is the group that makes drugs. One of our biggest customers, Merck, started or is a founder of an organization called 110.org. That's 1 million careers for Black Americans in 10 years. They've committed to that. And so what's interesting is that's one of our biggest customers. So you can know if Merck has committed to this organization, they're going to look to us to say, what is your diversity makeup of your workforce? And indeed, just last week, we had a client that said, if we don't have a diverse workforce on this project, you're not going to get the contract. So I will tell you, diversity is a business imperative. And even beyond that, at least 5 to 10 times a week, we will get surveys and questions from our clients saying, we want to know what the diversity makeup of your workforce is. So you can understand the business imperative. While we know it's just the right thing to do, it is also a business imperative. It will make the difference in whether or not we get contracts. But think about this. So what does that mean to employees? And it's going to be really interesting when you think about it, is that the more inclusive you become, the more opportunities we have. If we have made a decision that we're not going to work on diversity, we're not going to work on inclusion, we're going to lose contracts. Our employees are going to lose opportunities. So the more inclusive we become, the more opportunities there are. So that's the power behind inclusion. But let's think about this. What does it mean to you personally? Because at the end of the day, it's truly all about you. Yes, there is nothing in our lives that will stay static. Not your income, not your health, not your education, not even your race. Think about this. On the first day of 2020, whites under the age of 18 were for the first time a minority. So not even your race is staying static. Hispanics and other minorities will be the country's main different demographic engine in the population in the years to come. It's the most significant demographic change in America. So nothing about us is going to stay static. You're either going forwards or you're going backwards. It is to our benefit, to everyone's benefit, to become an inclusive company. Think about this as well, is think about the synergy that provides. If you look at this makeup, you see people from all over. You see a first generation college goer and graduate. You see a 9/11 survivor, a dog owner. Think about what that brings to the workplace. Think about the diversity and the thought processes that it brings to the workplace. That's why it's so important. So in the year, just this past year, primarily because of COVID, 2 million women have been displaced out of the workplace. And here's what we know is when you affect women, you affect society. 2 million women who have worked all their lives to get to the place where they are, or have been displaced out of the workplace. While it may not seem like a big deal right now, let me tell you, change happens gradually. Sometimes it takes years, like the case of whites being a minority, and sometimes it takes just a year, like when women were displaced out of the workplace because of a pandemic. But eventually it's coming. Here's the thing. So when we think about why this is so important, our clients, because our drugs, some of the drugs that we make take years to make. We could have a contract that literally lasts 20 years. And what our clients want to know is not only who is heading up your regulatory or your operations facility at that time. They want to know who are the next 3 people that if something happens to that individual, that you have people lined up, you have a pipeline. Because without it, their drugs are at risk and you are not able to get your vaccine. So it's coming. These are the things that we like to think about as a company that really make a difference in why inclusion is so important. If we try to focus on just one diverse group of individuals, we're never going to get where we need to be. So those are some of the things that we like to think about. It not only matters who you have, but who you have teed up in the workplace. And that's where you guys come and play, is understanding that without you, our generation, we're going to struggle. This is what happens, and inclusion is key. But let me tell you a few things that what Thermo Fisher has done to support inclusion and equity. And I would say by and large, this is not unique just to Thermo Fisher. We have established employee resource groups. We have, and what that means is there's affinity groups that support different organizations. We have the LGBTQ. We have women's group. We have millennials. We have African heritage. We have Hispanic. We have we have just a business affinity group. And what that means is that when you come into Thermo Fisher, there will be a group that creates that cohort. It creates a cohesiveness for you to build your own community. What we also want those communities to do is work across our company that creates a place where people want to stay and where they want to come each day. We're saving lives by the work that we do. We're a global company. We're not going to live in isolation. We are going to look across the globe for talent. And as you're thinking about this and you're knocking out exams and you're about to graduate or about to get that internship, something you need to think about is your competition is not just in the classroom with you. Your competition is across the globe. And by the way, because of this pandemic, a lot of jobs, unless you're at our sites at one of our facilities doing the hands-on work, you can work from anywhere. So the world has really opened up to you guys. So what an opportunity that is. The other thing that these employee work groups do is that they create the cohesiveness that helps people want to stay. Now, I actually learned this as an academic advisor for a university. If I could get freshmen to be a part of a fraternity or of their major of music, of art, of business, computer science, they were much more likely to stay in school and they would graduate. The same with employees. If they have a group that they can be a part of, then they're much more likely to stay at our company. And that's a big focus of ours, is retaining our talent. And it doesn't mean that if you're a woman that you join the women's group. You could join the LGBTQ. You don't have to be gay to join that group. You don't have to be Black to join the African Heritage Group or Hispanic to join the Hispanic group. In fact, I love to tell this story that I'm a member of NABA, National Black Accountants. I'm not Black, nor am I an accountant, but I have been for years, probably 10 years. And I will tell you, I've learned as much from being a part of that group as I have any organization I've been a part of. I'm also a poker player. I'm also a member of the Marketing Association. But where I have learned the most is being a part of a group that I had no experience in. So as you're looking around to your fraternities, your sororities, and your opportunities, don't stick with what you know. In fact, I would tell you, stick with what you don't know. Go find those organizations where you're going to learn. And by the way, I will tell you, a lot of companies are looking at that now, as we're looking for those lifelong learners. And I know, as much as I am passionate about diversity, equity, and inclusion, as my daughter told me, she said, Mom, she said, that's really important to me. But she said, right now, I just have to have a job. So at one point, you will have that opportunity to have that voice. And that's what we're going to look to you guys to do. But in some other ways that we're helping keep talent and also promote talent is we're establishing mentoring circles. You know what a mentor is? You have a mentor and a mentee. What we're doing to touch more lives, to get more opportunity of growth and career advancement, is we're focusing on mentoring circles. So you might have 10 to 12 individuals with one mentor. And in that, you learn so much about your partners, your colleagues, your employees, but you're also learning what are the things that are really going to make a difference in your career. The other thing we're doing is we've created sponsorships that every director and above will have 2 mentees that they sponsor. And this is different than the mentoring circles where you're learning about careers. As a sponsored mentee, that means that they're going to focus on getting you to that next level. They're going to get you exposed to other opportunities. They're going to get you exposed to leaders that you typically would not get as just an employee existing in a company. And we're pretty excited about this. This has gone over really, really well, and we feel like it will make a big difference in how people look at their careers. One of the other things that we did this past year, I want to explain it because you probably aren't aware of this, but in every company, even for myself, for our CEO, they have what they call a succession slate. That who are the 3 to 4 people that if I go away, our CEO goes away, that who can take their jobs. And so, and that's common. That happens in every company, certainly in every Fortune 500 company, because investors want to know who's teed up to take the CEO's job if something happens to that CEO. What we did this past October, we launched what we call opt-in, succession slate opt-in, that you could literally opt in to be on a succession slate of your destination role. Say you want to be a general manager, or you wanted to be the head of HR, or you want to be the head of D&I. You could opt in to that, to be on that succession slate. Doesn't mean you're going to get it, but it means that you are finally being able to look at your career more than one job at a time. And just as a side note, when you get into the workforce, is thinking about not what your next job will be, but 3 moves from now, what do you want to be doing? Not 3 years, but 3 moves. Do you want to be the head of engineering? You want to be the head of HR? You want to be the head of finance? Those are some of the things that we like for you to be thinking about, so that we're not having to go out and find that talent, but they're coming to us saying, we want to be a part of what you're doing. So one more thing, there's a few other things. These are some other things, and I apologize, I have my notes over here. Another thing that we have done is we created the colleague referral program. In short, it's bringing your friends to work with you. Because here's what we know. We know if Kaye Cullum hires you, you'll stay. But if Kaye Cullum hires her friend, she has much longer to stay and be much more productive. So we created the colleague referral program. And you can just think about it like this is if I created Kaye Cullum Inc., who are the 6 to 7 people I would want to bring with me to my company. And by the way, when I went from Murphy, USA, that's in El Dorado, to Thermo Fisher, I brought 5 employees with me. And one of them you'll get to hear from later. But so we know that bringing these individuals with you, you're much more likely to stay, much more likely to be more productive. And so the last thing I think I'll cover on diversity and inclusion is that times are different now. The expectations are higher. And as I said, you're not going to stay static, but you know what else? Companies aren't going to stay static. We have to keep learning. We have to keep bringing on things that we've never done before. When we started the work around COVID, as you know, that vaccine was made in maybe 7 or 8 months, but it took years of research and understanding to be able to make the vaccine. It took every person we know of. It took every race, it took every gender, it took every thought process, it took people who play lacrosse, it took people who play tennis, it took people who don't play to make this vaccine. If there was ever a point in time where diversity makes a difference, it is now. If there's ever a point in time where inclusion makes a difference, it is now. As even with the work that was done with this vaccine, research has been shared across the globe. More research will be done. More sharing will be done. It's just not a time where we can be selfish in what we're doing. These are a few things that I would like for you to think about in diversity and equity and inclusion. A couple of things I'll leave you with. As you're applying to roles, you have every right to ask, what does your diversity workforce look like? And I'm going to tell you, not every company is going to be really, really good at it. But every company should have a plan to be good at it. And that's all you ever ask is, if you don't have a strong diversity workforce, do you have a plan? And that's where you get to decide, do you want to go and be a part of the work that's already been done? Or do you want to come and be a part of work and make a path? But what I would do is I definitely would insist that you want to be a part of a diverse, inclusive workforce. I thank you, and I wish to goodness I could see you guys. You've got a great opportunity, and I know that there's a lot of you out there. I don't know if I get to take questions.
Hey, we did have a question come through if you want to take it. And just so you know, we have right around 170 attendees on here. So
wow, congratulations to you guys. That's
so the
super.
question came through from Sky McLaughlin. Do you find that when a staff member has a good sponsor, they end up moving on to positions outside of Thermo Fisher, or do they stay?
Gosh, that is such a good question. So, and I'm glad you're asking me that question. I think both. And here's the thing: I'm not a selfish. I've recruited employees and students think I've recruited, you guys will like this, over 3,000. I made over 3,000 hires and responsible for over 195 million in salaries. Who gets to do that? Yeah, what a great life that is. But you know, I've seen both. They will stay in Thermo Fisher, or they might move outside Thermo Fisher. And my feelings aren't hurt either way. At the end of the day, you've got to decide what's good for you. And so, you know, like I said, you know, I've seen it happen both ways. But I love the idea of a sponsor.
Wonderful. Well, let's see. Dr. Cunningham, would you like to wrap us up? We just lost his video.
Is that him? There we are.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Kaye, for sharing your insight with us today. I especially appreciate your comment about NAVA and the impact that it's made on your life, because we're forming a NAVA chapter at this moment at Tech. So we might be reaching out to you for your input.
Oh, nice. Well, good luck with that. I absolutely love that organization. Of course, there wasn't a lot of white individuals in that organization, and they were always so good to me, and I just learned so much.
Well, thank you so much. And thank all of you for listening, and have a great day. And we hope to see you on some of our other sessions throughout the day. Good day.
Perfect. Take care.